That's your signature, right? You can't deny it now. The tremor in her voice cut through the polished room as she held up the recording device, red light blinking under the chandelier's shadows. Murmurs rippled, half a dozen eyes darted between them. One breath, then her adversary barked, "Put that down. You have no idea what you're doing." She didn't lower her arm. "You forged everything. I have it all right here, every lie." A chair groaned as someone stood. "You want to tear all of this down for what?" Spite, her jaw clenched. "You did it to yourselves." The other woman's laughter was sharp but short. "You're bluffing." She pressed play, the room filled with the unmistakable voice from the past. "We both knew she'd find this eventually." Silence rolled in, thick as velvet. She stared across at her half-siblings, their certainty evaporating in an instant. "Go ahead," she dared. "Deny a single word." Behind the closed doors, the storm outside hammered the windows, sealing every secret inside. All of this unraveled in that single hour for all of them. But to understand how she ended up standing in this room, defying everything and everyone she'd ever feared, you'd have to start 3 months before everything fell apart. $43.18. That was all Nora saw in her bank app, the green numbers glowing beside the Dollarway Bank logo as rain hammered the windshield in Jasper County, outside Newton, Iowa. The wipers screeched on each pass. Her duffel bag, stuffed with her younger sister Marion's cracked boot, 2 curling photographs, and the last condolence card they'd received, squatted in the passenger seat. A blue lunchbox, Marion's, sat on the floor, forgotten peanut butter crackers rattling inside. "We're almost there, right?" Marion, 14 but shrunken by the past month, twisted a strand of hair between raw fingers. Nora forced a smile she had no strength to mean. "Yeah, another 20 minutes tops unless the road's washed out." Her phone buzzed where it clung to a dying charger. One last text from Christine Parker, not mom, now ex-stepmother. "Remember, girls, don't get comfortable. Nothing left for you to lose." Marion's voice was barely a whisper. "Do we even have a key?" Nora pulled a ring from her pocket, dull brass, teeth worn and bent. "This is it. Grandma said the back door sticks." Her fingers trembled, the key nearly slipped. 3 weeks since their mother's funeral. 3 weeks since Christine's performative tears, a monogrammed handkerchief, and the will reading in a lawyer's office that still curdled Nora's stomach. 2 wonderful daughters, the lawyer intoned, but the property, all 2 acres, and that structure falls to the girls as a memory more than an asset. Next to Christine, Ethan and Paige, pristine, expensive hair, perfect teeth, snickered. Ethan sang out behind his phone, "You'll probably find raccoons or squatters. Hope you like rabies, Nora." Christine only smiled. "They never belonged here anyway." Marion bristled. "Maybe there's something. Maybe Granddad left something." Her gaze drifted to the window, then back at her sister. "Did you see Mom's locket after the funeral?" Nora shook her head, feeling the familiar irritation gnaw. "Christine packed everything, disappeared with half the boxes before we even got back from burial." She gripped the wheel. "We'll look for it." The rain battered harder as they left the county road for a pitted gravel lane, headlights strafing wind-twisted corn. The cabin appeared like a bruise at the field's edge. Painted boards curled away from the windows, the porch sagged dangerously. Dead weeds towered waist-high. If you've ever been told what belongs to you is worthless, but felt, beneath the dirt and ridicule, the pulse of a secret no one else could see, stay with me. It took 2 tries and Marion's shoulder before the back door surrendered. Inside, watery light fell on the moth-eaten plaid couch and a fireplace scabbed with black soot. At least it didn't smell of death, just old linen and the metallic tang of mildew. Marion set down the lunchbox with a dull thud and pulled out her phone. No bars, nothing. Nora hefted her duffel to the couch, trailing rain. "One night," Nora promised. "We'll check for leaks, then see what's left." She ran a hand along the edge of the crooked mantel, felt paint chip away, and caught something odd, a faint gap where a panel didn't quite meet the wall. Hook 1, a smudge of faded blue chalk, ran in a neat line along the bottom edge of the study's built-in bookshelf, 6 inches, then it broke off. It didn't match anything else in the room. Nora crouched, Marion hovered. "What's that for?" she muttered. "We'll find out." Nora looked at her hands, felt the splintered floor under her knees, and decided they would not let Christine or anyone laugh the last laugh. The rain eased to a patter, but inside the war was just beginning. By dawn, the cabin's chill had seeped into every joint. Marion brewed instant coffee and dropped 2 sugar packets in the chipped mug. Nora sipped, surveying walls slick with damp. What was that blue chalk line last night? Maybe nothing. But the itch in her chest told her it was more. "We have to check the study," she said quietly. Marion hesitated, twisting her spoon. What if nothing's here? Her shoes left damp marks on the floor as she followed Nora into the cramped office. Nora dragged a battered chair to the wall, staring at the bookcase until her vision blurred. "Hand me that screwdriver." Outside, the wind had shifted. Gray clouds lumbered across the fields, and somewhere a diesel truck rattled past on the far road. Nora wedged the tip beneath the lowest shelf, prying gently. With a dull crack, the wood panel lifted away, just an inch, then more. Dust and mold stung. "Is it?" Marion started. A cavity, deep and black, gaped behind the books. Nora fished out a watercolor tin, her grandfather's, and a tiny brass key taped inside. Her hands shook. "Maybe it fits," Marion's brow furrowed as she pointed to the trapdoor beneath the threadbare rug. Both girls crouched. Nora fitted the key, turning cautiously till the lock clicked. The door lifted with a creak, exhaling stale, cold air. Wide stone steps led down, farther than any crawlspace should have gone. Marion clutched Nora's arm. "This isn't on the county records. The cabin's not big enough." They exchanged a look, half fear, half hope. "After you," Marion whispered, and Nora managed a smirk. As they descended, the thick, earthy smell grew heavier. Nora aimed her phone's flashlight, jaw clenched, every nerve in her shoulders taut. Marion spotted something along the wall, a slatted door, slightly ajar. Nora pressed her palm against it, feeling the weight of untold years. She pushed, hinges groaned. A dark void yawned beyond. They stepped into a hush, so dense it rang in their ears. Below the forgotten cabin, a vast, windowless hall stretched in both directions. Impossible, wrong-angled, too large to make sense. Nora breathed. This was never just a cabin. She wasn't sure if they'd found a way in, or if the house had finally let them through. "Check that door," she whispered. Marion ducked beneath a web, yanked at an iron handle. The room beyond was paneled in old, hand-painted cedar. Dust motes drifted. Everywhere, piles of rotted ledgers lay stacked on warped tables. A cracked glass lamp leaned at the edge, threatening to fall. Nora's light caught a folder, corners curling, labeled in her grandfather's script, "For whoever survives." She tore it open, inside a letter. Nora braced herself, scanning the first blocky sentences. "To my girls, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Christine knows nothing of the real estate below. I tried to keep it safe." His writing was clipped, urgent. "When you feel alone, remember, blood finds a way to its own kind. You are mine always. Not even Christine's lies can break that." A flutter of guilt and longing pierced Nora's chest. She looked at Marion, who blinked hard, mouth trembling. He knew. She lied about all of it. Nora stared at the words. More pages, ledgers, maps, a torn Polaroid of her grandmother, younger, with a dark-haired girl she'd never seen before. A silver cassette tape clattered to the floor. Tape handwritten, confession. Nora fumbled it into her phone's pinch jack, praying it'd work. The old woman's voice wheezed, words dulled by decades. "Christine, I trusted you, but you forged those papers. He never loved you, never. Nora's his daughter, not yours. I saw what you did after Marion's accident. I saw everything." A pause, then Christine's familiar, brittle tone caught, irritated. "If you say a word, you wreck all of us. I'll deny, like I always do." Somebody, grandfather, maybe, interrupts. "We'll let the next generation decide." Nora shivered. Marion tucked herself into Nora's side, shaking. Beneath her knee, the floor trembled. A dull, hollow bang echoed far down the corridor. They were not alone. Nora held up the letter, heart pounding, voice dry as dust. If Mom hid all this, what else did she hide? A slow, scratching sound crawled from the far end of the hall. Marian's grip on her wrist was bone deep. "Let's go now," Nora whispered. They scrambled back up, sealing the trapdoor. For the first time since the funeral, Nora realized fear and knowledge could feel exactly the same. Hook 2, the secrets weren't just buried, they were waiting. By noon the next day, the county sun baked away the last of the rain, and Nora and Marian found themselves huddled in the single grocery store parking lot with the folder and tape between them. Marian nursed a bruised palm. "What if Christine comes?" she asked, voice cracking. "You think she won't notice?" Nora chewed her lip, eyes locked on the documents. "She's got more important things to protect. Her divorce is not final, 60 days left before she loses access to his money." The door of a blue Volvo slammed nearby. A thin man in a wrinkled suit, their late grandfather's lawyer, Mr. Purcell, hurried over, tie askew. He opened with a clipped greeting. "Ladies, I didn't expect you here." His gaze fell on the folder. "Find something I should know about?" Nora squared her shoulders. "We found this under the house. Looks like there's more real estate than anyone said." Purcell glanced around, voice feathered with nerves. "Let's talk inside." Hook 3, Purcell leafed through the ledgers, color draining from his face. "There are 5 titles here under LLCs and 2 in out-of-state trusts. This is substantial. Do you realize what you've stumbled onto?" Nora replied, "We want to know if it's real." He frowned. "Each property is worth 7 figures minimum. That's why she wanted you gone. If she finalizes her divorce in the next 59 days, she can claim part of this unless you move fast." Marian shifted. "We need proof, something that stands up in court." Purcell steadied himself. "You have the tape, but tapes alone don't always work." He studied Nora. "If you can authenticate her voice, tie it to signed documents, you might have a case." Outside the plate glass, Christine's red Porsche wheeled into the lot. Panic sharpened the air. "Act fast," Purcell warned. "They're watching you now." Nora dumped the folder in her backpack, nodded to Marian. "Let's move." They slipped out the side, adrenaline thrumming. Hook 4, the game was no longer about a creaky, worthless cabin. It was about exposing the web Christine built, and Nora's ticket out was ticking away fast. Back at the cabin, they found the front door gaping. Muddy marks. Christine had been here or her hired hands. The study lay ransacked. "We're not safe," Marian whispered, cringing as Nora cursed under her breath. "We're leaving tonight, but we have to get more evidence, something indisputable." Marian at the trapdoor, Nora at the ledger pile. They went over every tape, every square inch, till dusk fell. At last, Nora found a hidden switch under the central table. Pressing it, a section of floor shuddered, lifting. Beneath, a staircase flanked by faded wallpaper. They descended, holding hands. At the bottom, an old electric panel, blinking yellow, and 3 steel doors, numbered and padlocked. Marian drew a shaky breath. "You think?" Nora looked dizzy with dread and hope. Granddad was hiding something big. They cracked the first lock with the brass key. Behind, crates of gilded coins, rolls of cash taped and yellowing. The air tasted like copper and mildew. Suddenly, footsteps above. Christine's voice echoed, bouncing off stone. "You little thieves, hand it over or else." Her fury fueled every stomping step. Nora slammed the panel back into place. "Split up, run." Marian dashed for the back, Nora made for the kitchen. Christine crashed in, teeth bared. "You have no claim, that's my husband's money." Nora steeled herself. "You lied to everyone, the tape proves it." Christine lunged, yanking the backpack, papers scattered. In the scramble, Nora grabbed the tape and ran. Outside, high beams blinded her, a white Mercedes blocking the drive. Ethan and Paige slouched inside, smirking. "You can't hide, Nori," Ethan called, mocking. Nora ducked back toward the woods, heart hammering, entire life teetering on that cassette. That night, crouched in the dark under a fallen oak, field mice rustling near her feet, Nora dialed Purcell. His voice hissed, "They'll try to bury this, Nora, but you have what they can't fake," Christine's own admission. You can force her hand. "I don't want to ruin everything," Nora admitted. "I just want the truth." Purcell paused. Truth always ruins things for someone, but it saves someone else. Hook 5, the next move had to be hers. The plan came together in the old county library, 5th location, wood-paneled, echoing with the shuffle of staff and the click-clack of the microfilm reader. Nora hunched over ledgers with Marion and Purcell. 3 hours, 3 flashbacks, watching Christine rip out family photos, Ethan pocketing antique coins, the lawyer's warning, "If you wait, you'll lose it all." Purcell slid over a court notice. "Probate window is closing. You have 47 days before assets get locked in divorce proceedings." Nora massaged her brow. "Options. We go public press release, social media, or," Purcell's gaze sharpened, "we call in each accomplice. If you set up a meeting, we can record them all turning on each other. No one wants to go down as the ringleader." Marion, pale but purposeful, said, "They deserve each other." Nora weighed revenge, then justice. "We do this right, public, legal, bulletproof." Back at the musty cabin, Marion pieced together old receipts and notarized deeds. Nora called Christine's ex-husband's lawyer, then Paige's college advisor, baiting each with whispers of fraud risk and possible inheritance crime. They rehearsed what to say, how to catch every slip. The showdown was set. Legal conference room, 5 p.m. with Purcell, Christine, Ethan, Paige, and 2 auditors. Nora wore her mother's faded scarf, nerves ringing so sharply she could barely breathe. She pressed play on the tape recorder, tucked the folder beneath her chair, and walked into the room. Chandeliers glinted, the clock ticked. Christine's voice was ice. "This is your last chance, Nora." Nora's reply was quieter but deadlier. "No, it's yours. That's your signature, right? You can't deny it now." The words cracked across the marble table. Christine leapt to her feet. "Put that down, you have no idea what you're doing." Ethan rolled his eyes, Paige tittered nervously. Across the room, Purcell hovered by the window, silent and grave. "You forged everything, I have it all right here, every lie." Nora thumbed the file. Christine's teeth flashed. "You want to tear all of this down for what, spite?" Nora's jaw worked. "You did it to yourselves." "What do you think is going to happen, Nora?" Paige snapped, voice high, desperation edging every syllable. A slow smile tugged at Nora's mouth. "The truth is going to happen." Christine's laughter pinged off the glass. "You're bluffing." Nora locked eyes with her. "We both know I'm not," she clicked play. The room shimmered with grandmother's voice. "Christine, I trusted you, but you forged those papers." Paige stood, face draining of color. Ethan blustered, "Lots of people sound alike." "Shut up," Christine cut in, panic jumping into her words for the first time. Nora braced herself on the folder. Voice authentication, 2 experts signed off. She slid notarized reports across the table, paper rasping. "Every signature, every tape points to you." A hush. Even the older attorney at the end of the room sat straighter. Christine hissed, "You're out of your depth." Nora fired back, voice clear. "We're your equal now, and you're running out of friends." Her gaze raked Ethan and Paige, who now shifted away from their mother. Purcell's phone blared, a call from Paige's attorney. Paige swallowed, then squared her shoulders. "Fine, if I talk, do I still get immunity?" Christine swung around. "You wouldn't dare." Ethan leaned in, grinning wickedly. "I've got screenshots if you're going down." Christine's veneer shattered. She lunged, grabbing for Nora's evidence, but the young woman held fast. A quiet auditor spoke. "All of you are on the record, just so you know." Nora looked at her half-siblings. "Go ahead, deny a single word." Paige lost her composure. "She made us, she said it was her right." Ethan shrieked, "It was always Mom's show. We just did what she told us." Alarm bells erupted, someone in the hallway calling for security. Christine's hands balled to fists. "If you hand that over, you destroy this family." Nora's reply was rock steady. "No, you did that years ago." Security moved in. The auditors loaded up tapes and paper evidence. Purcell, voice shaking, said, "We recommend all parties comply or risk federal charges." Paige sank to her knees, sobbing. Ethan fiddled with his phone, face burning with shame. Christine's face fell, mouth working but voiceless, power draining from every gesture. Nora finally let out a breath she'd held for years. Out in the hall, as Christine was led away, Ethan and Paige argued, each threatening, each pleading, each ready to betray the other if it kept them out of jail. Justice worked fast. Over the next month, the fallout rippled. Christine, charged with fraud and forgery, saw her assets frozen, her community presence vaporized. The authorities invoked felony statutes, 8 to 12 years minimum, even with plea deals. Paige, eager to save herself, turned over hundreds of emails confirming the scheme. Ethan, bitter and cornered, offered up bank records that placed Christine at the center. The county's most prominent stepmother, once mistress of every charity luncheon, was now the subject of gasps in grocery aisles. The divorce settlement fell apart. Judges seized all marital assets, routing proceeds to a restitution fund for victims, including 2 young women once mocked out of their own home. Purcell spent days fielding press queries. Yes, it was a tangled web, he told the local newspaper, but the truth always outs. Marion, shy at first, watched as her name, once a punchline, became synonymous with standing her ground. The Department of Justice investigated the full list of shell companies, evicting Christine from every hidden income stream. Property deeds reverted to Nora and Marion, backdating to the time of their grandmother's death. Some in the county whispered, "Bad things happen to anyone who crosses those girls." Others quietly thanked them. A realtor left flowers on the cabin's crumbling porch. The final act came quietly. The 2 sisters, co-owners now by right, established the Hart Scholarship Fund for single mothers at the community college in Newton. "If one woman doesn't have to beg for scraps," Marion said to the board, "that's enough." Nora handled every legal detail, offering jobs to 2 clerks in town, opening doors closed by Christine's years of intimidation. One winter morning, with the frost stubborn on the cornfields, Nora hoisted the same battered duffel onto her shoulder, now filled with documents marked "paid in full." Marion, bright-eyed, thumbed through the first round of scholarship applications. The past, bitter, cruel, unforgettable, still flickered, but it never dictated their future. Sometimes the people who thought they could bury you forget, roots grow in darkness, reaching for the sun anyway. If you've ever wondered what might happen if you fought for the truth, not out of vengeance, but out of hope that someone else might have it easier, remember Nora and Marion. Some stories are reclaimed, inch by inch, until what once bruised you now builds someone else's shelter. The letter from the county court arrived on a day so clear and sharp you could see for miles down the highway, pale blue and weightless. Nora let it sit on the kitchen table, unopened, while the kettle boiled and Marion carefully packed up the last stack of receipts. From the porch she could hear the thaw drips from the eaves, a crow's wings. Every nerve in her told her to brace for disaster, but she forced herself to breathe steady and clean. Marion finished tying a box with twine. "Aren't you gonna open it?" She shot a glance at the envelope, then at her sister, brown eyes wide but steadier than Nora could ever remember. In answer, Nora slid her thumb under the seal and unfolded the verdict. The cabin, the land, and 4 properties in Des Moines held in their names. Titles cleared, probate discharged. The words looked dry and businesslike. They remade everything. Marion gave a shaky laugh, half glad, half stunned. "We did it. Then, Mom would have wanted this, right, for us to keep the house." Nora stared at her own name, properly spelled, no more no legal standing, none of Christine's petty erasures. "Yeah," she said at last, "she would have." The next days blurred with necessary chores. Lawyers, inspectors, a slow parade of people they'd once gritted their teeth to face. Offers came. Men in shiny wingtips asked about the unique location. Old Mrs. Van Dorn sent over buttermilk biscuits, the town's official apology tendered by way of cinnamon. Nora turned everything down that smelled of fast profit or curiosity mongering. There was something in the bones of the place she wanted to keep. Some things you can sell off, some you can't. It was late one night, dust curling golden in the kitchen, when Marian asked, "If we sold everything and started over, wouldn't that be easier?" They were sorting what to burn and what to keep, the cracked paisley lamp, the box of photos, a crate of silverware wrapped in fading newsprint. Nora squinted in the low yellow light. "Maybe, but I don't want to run just because they made it hard. This is ours. This was always ours." Marian worried the edge of an old plate with her thumb. "I like it here, even if it gets lonely." They both fell silent. Nora, half distracted, slid open a battered cigar box, expecting nothing but receipts and rusty nails. Instead, the missing locket tangled in a fraying blue ribbon. She held it up, metal cool against her skin. Marian gasped. "It was here the whole time," her voice wobbled. Nora nodded, lips twisting. Christine must have missed it when she ransacked the desk. She thumbed the lid open. Inside, a picture of their mother smiling, sunlit as Nora barely remembered her. For the first time, Nora allowed herself to miss her, with a mixture of sorrow and gratitude so pure she almost laughed. A week later, Purcell stopped by with 2 envelopes, one marked legal, the other personal. "I wanted you both to see this." He handed them newspaper clippings. Former charity leader in prison awaiting sentencing. Christine's photo, blurry and unflattering. Nora glimpsed, then dismissed it. She didn't need Christine's face to remember what was gone. The other envelope had a note in their grandfather's hand, just 3 lines. "The world is always heavier on your shoulders, but you can put it down and lift something better. Trust yourselves." A silence grew in the room, easy and proud. Purcell cleared his throat. "How does it feel, winning?" Nora shrugged. "Not like I expected." She locked the locket's chain around Marian's neck, her hands certain. "But we know who we are now, that's enough." Spring came, green and riotous, wildflowers overgrowing the ditch behind the house. They rescued the study, scrubbed the mildew, painted the walls daffodil yellow. Marian filled the shelves with paperbacks and old glass jars, each one labeled with a bit of history. "First day free, Mom's birthday, the day we stayed." They sold the town properties, kept the farmland, and fixed the cabin's sagging porch with their own hands. Sometimes people drove past, slow, curious, but most just waved. The gossip shifted. Those poor girls became those strong girls, then just the heart sisters, like something firm and inevitable. The scholarship fund grew, fed by auctioned antiques and a quiet GoFundMe boosted by a local teacher. The county paper ran a syrupy profile. "Sisters transform loss into hope." Marian hid her red cheeks behind the copy, protesting, "I look like a ghost." Nora only laughed, tucking the article away with the locket and that first letter. One sticky summer night, the radio blaring half a mile away from a field party, Marian sat on the cabin steps, knees drawn up. "Do you think Christine's kids, Ethan, Paige, hate us?" "I don't know." Nora sank beside her, the night air barely cool. "We didn't set them up. They made choices same as us. I feel bad sometimes, like if we'd said something sooner." "It's not yours to carry." Nora slung an arm around her little sister. "You survived, that's enough." "But they were awful." Nora huffed, tired and certain. "They didn't win, that's all that matters." Thunder rumbled on the southern edge of the sky. The past still fringed them, ragged and sometimes mean, but the cabin lights warmed the fields, their own private beacon. After a time, Nora stood and dusted off her jeans. "Let's go inside. We've got a new application to read." Marian grinned, standing tall, pushing open the restored screen door. "This one's from a woman in Colfax, says she never thought anyone would care about girls like her." "Tell her we do," Nora said, hands strong at the small of her back. There were hard days, mornings when grief curled up and made itself at home. afternoons when paperwork or memory or mud forced them to the edge. But there were good days, too. Barn kittens in the driveway, jam bubbling on the stove, the first checks mailed to women who wrote back handwritten thank yous, each one a fragment of belief passed forward. Sometimes Nora would wake sweating and wild-eyed from a dream of Christine's voice slicing through the dark, but she never looked over her shoulder anymore. Marion was nearby, sunlight at the window, real, present, her own unwavering proof. The last legal loose end came in autumn as the leaves dried and fell gentle as feathers. A letter from Purcell, the estate case was closed, the state satisfied. All debts released, you've built something real, come see me anytime, no more courts, just coffee. Nora smiled over the mug at Marion. No more fighting, we get to just be. At Christmas, the house filled with laughter, a few friends, some neighbors, Mrs. Van Dorn carrying a lopsided cake. Nora toasted with cider, her voice thick and bright. Thanks for believing we could start over. The county hadn't forgiven every Hart mistake, nor forgotten every Parker slight. But people saw them clear now, nobody's burden, nobody's target, just Nora and Marion choosing their own way. On a rare night where rain drummed steady and safe, Nora stared out at the fields. So much of what she'd feared, poverty, abandonment, undeserved blame, had loosened its hold. She'd proved something to herself, and not just that she could survive, that she could shape the world that came afterward. Marion called from her bedroom, "Lights out or you'll catch cold." Nora smiled. "Just 1 minute," she called back, gaze following the wild curve of the lane, the unbroken reach of their land. She thought of her mother, of her grandfather's impossible handwriting, of every secret that the house and its hidden rooms had hoarded and finally surrendered. She thought of loss not like a wound but like a seed, invisible, working its way up, splitting the ground in first fierce green. Nora stood a little straighter. Her story wasn't one of rescue or vengeance or even justice, though all had played their part. It was, finally, about choosing what grows. She shut off the porch light and let the hush settle. The house was theirs now, truly and simply. The future, they'd build that together, ember by ember, and nothing could stop it now. If you want to know what hope feels like, it is something like this. A night gone quiet, someone you love close by, and a tomorrow you get to make for yourself. Weeks slipped by, soft and undemanding, until new habits replaced vigilance. Nora woke before dawn some mornings just to listen to the house breathing, crickets winding down, the coffee pot burbling, and let herself believe in ordinary peace. With every repaired floorboard and painted window frame, the old place shed a little more of its haunted skin. One Sunday mid-afternoon, while Marion scrawled scholarship letters, a battered sedan rolled up the lane, tires crunching. Nora stepped out, wary, to see Purcell unfolding himself from the driver's seat, a cake box in one hand and a lopsided smile on his face. He lifted the box. "Officially not court-mandated," he joked and set it on the porch railing. "Just a congratulations. I thought you two could use a carrot cake that doesn't taste like filing cabinets." Marion poked her head out, hair clipped up, cheeks flushed. "That's the nicest thing anyone's ever brought here, including Mrs. Van Dorn's famous biscuits." They all laughed, tension from old battles dissolving in the easy air. Purcell stayed for a mug of coffee and a slice of cake that tasted far more like cinnamon and home than any of them expected. Afterward, Purcell stood by the porch, squinting into the wind. "You girls did more than almost anyone else would have. Even my partners are talking about it, quietly of course. There'll be folks who think you were lucky or ruthless or both." Nora shrugged, watching Marion finger the locket at her throat. "They don't have to understand." He nodded approvingly. "They don't. Take care of this place. Let it take care of you for a while." As his sedan disappeared down the lane, Nora felt something subtle, permission maybe to simply live. That evening, Marion set 2 mismatched plates on the kitchen table and grinned. "Remember when $40 felt like the end of the world?" Nora grinned back, the old weight gone. "Turns out the world's a lot bigger." They ate in companionable quiet, dusk falling blue through the clean glass. Later, as the first fireflies bobbed in the tall grass, Nora stepped onto the porch again, arms folded, and murmured into the gentle dark, "We're still here." Inside, Marion called, "You coming in?" She turned, her whole story behind her, and everything possible ahead. "Yeah," Nora said, voice confident and sure, "I'm home."